I would like to start with a quote from Banksy, a London-based street artist, who says, "There's nothing more dangerous than someone who wants to make the world a better place." I'm an urban planner, and I think that urban planners really are kind of these people who really want to make the world a better place. So this is the scale we are working on. And on this scale, you see different urban forms. You see streets, buildings, parks. And for example, if you take the buildings, if you realize after 10, 20, 30 years, they are not working or they are not attractive, you can more or less easily reconstruct or rebuild them. If a city is not working, or if a city structure is not working, it's very hard to reorganize it or restructure it. So urban planning decisions are always long-term decisions. Secondly, we as planners have to deal with a lot of different issues. We have a huge amount of stakeholders and interests to deal with. A city is always a product of different public or private interests, sometimes more public, sometimes more private. Secondly, we have to deal with a lot of issues like housing, architecture, mobility, transportation, and so forth. And of course, all these issues are linked to certain regulations we have to deal. So we also have to respect this legislation. So Vienna is growing, we heard already, and sometimes we got the opportunity to make urban development or to make a plan. And as a planner, you have to come to a product or to plan or to a framework. And even though you have this complexity and this huge amount of stakeholders, you have to find a way to come to a plan. So I would like to show you now two ways for coming to a plan. This is the first way, and I would say this is the way how to come to a plan 1.0. Let's assume there's a small group of people deciding, analyzing the site, investigating the site, then makes a framework and a task, and invites for this task a competition or starts a competition. And this competition can be huge or small. You can get 10, 20, 120 proposals for one site. And then a small group of people decides what is the best proposal and chooses one, and there's a winner. And this is then the master plan, and this master plan should be executed. So we in our office think that this is not a really urban approach. We think that urban is much more dynamic, much more interactive, maybe also much more unstable or much more chaotic. So this is our approach. We call it collaborative planning, and it's simply just having all these different issues, these different stakeholders at one place at the very beginning and just start to plan and think about the place. And what we want to have, it's not a master plan, but we want to have an urban framework where the city can grow, where the city can be finished or not finished. So we did an experiment, and this is the site in Vienna where we started this experiment. It's an area in the 21st district, and when you come to this area now, you see that there had never been a plan or a structured process. You have there a motorway exit beside a railway station, beside high-rise buildings. Then you have small village buildings. Then you have a shopping center. So this city maybe have never been started. It's even not unfinished. So we have there brownfields and industrial sites, and our task was to make a plan for these brownfields. And the very first task we did, that we convinced the property owners of these brownfields that they don't make single projects on their single properties, but to think about at a larger scale and to make city with us. So there we go. We went on the place. We found a youth center. In this youth center there was a ping pong table, and on this ping pong table we all invited the stakeholders. We had the city representative, the government, the experts, planners, representatives from other communities, and we just started to plan, and we started the game. At the halftime of this game, we invited the public to give us approaches, to see how far we got, to give us more inputs, and we met 2 more times. And in the end, we had a framework, an urban framework. Of course, it was a very interactive process. We had to put in all our social skills in that, and it was very dynamic and also demanding, of course. But in the end, we had a result and a framework. So I would like to share 4 learnings out of this, even though we have to improve this process. And this is also only a small step in a very long urban development process. First thing, through this process we got the really right questions for the place. Even though you do a lot of investigation, a lot of analysis, you will never get to the real relevant questions for the place. Secondly, we practice a kind of co-opetition within this process. So we let 2 teams work separately within the process, create a proposal, then we discuss the proposals in the group, and out of this we suddenly became a new product, a new plan. Third thing, we could engage concrete deals between the different stakeholders. What means that we, for example, between the developers, between the city, and between the property owners and the district, we could already discuss who will finance or who will finance public infrastructure, social infrastructure there. So that was a very important thing to make city also happen. And the fourth thing, probably the most important one, is that this project was or is not our project from our office. It's not the project of the architects or the planners. It's not the project of the district or the politicians. It's a project of many. And I think it's very important in urban planning that at the very beginning of the phase, you invite all the stakeholders, and all the stakeholders get the idea of this process in their heads. So what I want to say finally about City 2.0 and Urban Planning 2.0, what is the role of the urban planner? I would like to have much more collaborative planning in Vienna, which is already happened. And I think the task of the urban planners is to create a common ground that you share responsibilities, create a common ground that you create a common language between the different stakeholders. And in the end, I think the task of the urban planner in the City 2.0 is not so much to design the site or the area. It's much more about designing the right process that collaboration can really happen. Thank you.